True tales of people who work their way through hardships to attain big success. So see their stories, feel their passions, and learn from their lessons. All that and more on Philippine Biography.
On the fateful day of January 16, 2012, the first ever impeachment trial of a Philippine Chief Justice unfolded before the nation.
Ano ba ang kasalanan ko sa bayan? Wala akong pagkakasalang alam ko.
188 signatures from the House of Representatives, 8 articles of impeachment, 45 alleged properties, 44 trial days against the Philippines' 23rd top magistrate.
Who is Chief Justice Corona?
Ano nung mga pinagsasabi niyo sa media? Ba't hindi kayo mag-official manifestation?
So, ibig niyo pong sabihin, kanina tanong kayo ng tanong, hanggat ilang oras na tayo dito, yan lang gusto niyo palabasin, yung 11 million kung inutang o in advance, all in all.
To be part of a court that just says nothing about it? Kasi salungat sa gusto mo, kaya ayaw mo pakinggan. Kung ayaw mo pakinggan, umalis ka sa korte.
Aalis na nga po sana ako kaya lang...
Granted! Is it your considered opinion that as in this case, you can just go direct to AMLA and not follow the procedures in the AMLA law?
Your Honor, again, I said it would depend on the complaint.
Well, you're fudging your answer.
No,
Witness.
you said it's, I said
You are arguing with the Senator
I'm
Judge.
sorry.
Whether or not sa'yo talaga yon.
Akin talaga ho yun, kahit na bukas pumunta kayo sa bahay ko, doon ako tutulog.
Ito po ay araw na inaasahan ng marami.
Mag-uubara na tayo. Yun ang gusto niya.
We're prepared to meet it head on.
The nation has been well fed with blow-by-blow accounts of what transpired in the historic proceedings. But this time around, we get the chance to see the thoughts and sentiments of the former magistrate, not only with regards to the trial, but to his upbringing and lifestyle as well. Meet the Philippines' 23rd Supreme Court Chief Justice, Renato.
Of course, I'll be honest with you, nagdasal din naman ako kay Lord na ako'y bigyan ng acquittal, no? Pero hindi niya ako pinagbigyan doon.
Born on the 15th of October in the year 1948, Renato Coronado Corona is one of the 3 sons of Attorney Juan M. Corona and UST Accountancy summa cum laude Eugenia Coronado.
Very closely knit yung family namin no? We had, I think our parents are a perfect combination. My father was very firm. Yung exterior niya very firm. Pero sa loob niya, he was a very gentle person. Yung mother ko naman, baliktad naman. They were very spiritual. So that's how we grew up. Tuwing hapon, pag summer at least, pagdating ng hapon, mag-a-angelus, magro-rosaryo, nakaluhod pa kami. Magdadasal, kaya siguro makapal yung kalyo ng aming mga tuhod. Ini-inspeksyon pa yung aparador namin kung maayos parang bata pa kami, parang nasa PMA kami. Paggising namin sa umaga, no, kailangan yun within an hour, nakaayos na yung kwarto namin, yung bed namin nakaayos, hindi pwedeng pumasok yung katulong doon, yung kasambahay namin. At aayusin yung kama namin para sa amin, hindi pwede yun. Pagkakain kami, halimbawa, no, lunch or dinner, hindi ka pwedeng pumunta doon sa mesa nakasando. Oo, kailangan nyo naka-t-shirt ka o naka-polo shirt ka. Yung studies namin, importante yun. Pagdating from school, we only had so much time for merienda. And homework na yun. Study, homework, and kung kailangan pa, after dinner, patuloy pa yung pag-aaral na yun. And of course, yung sports, pag weekend, my parents encourage us to go into sports. Kaya lahat kami magkakapatid, mahilig kami sa mga sports. We have always had to have good manners. Hindi pwede yung sigawan, hindi pwede yung away. Nag-aaway din kami. Actually, mga away bata. No? Pero never na pinapakita namin sa father namin. Kasi ang father namin, pag nahuli kaming nag-aaway, it doesn't matter to him kung sino tama, kung sino mali. Pareho kayong tatamaan Kaya halimbawa may pinagkaaway kami, hintayin namin pag wala yung father namin at saka to be continued. Ang original dream ko was to enter the military service. Yun ang gusto ko talaga eh. Parang very appealing sa akin nung bata ako yung jet fighter pilot. Gusto ko yung maging jet fighter pilot. I actually took the examination in PMA nung fourth year high school ako eh. But my father wouldn't hear of it. Namang sundalo doon sa pamilya namin eh. That was something new to him eh. To him kasi, it was the legal profession or nothing else. Mula nung pagkabata eh, parang yun na yung profesyon na namulatan namin eh, sapagkat lahat ng lalaki na sa pamilya namin, puro abogado eh. So parang gano'n na nga ang kinamulatan. No? Yung undergrad ko, nag-umpisa ako actually sa management engineering. No? I was actually thinking of civil engineering or mechanical engineering after management engineering course in college in Ateneo. No? But again, hindi na nga nangyari yan eh. Kasi sabi ko nga, mabait kami mga bata noon eh. Pag sinabi ng tatay namin, lahat kukuha ng law. Lahat kami kumuha ng law. Hindi nawawala yung mathematics club at saka yung science club sa sinasalihan ko sa school. No? Pero kung mga ini-insist ng parents ko na balansyado kami, naging member din ako ng track and field team. Hindi ako runner, doon ako sa field. Yung javelin, discus at saka shot put. I joined the Air Force ROTC. Kasi nga mahilig nga tayo dun sa military. Sabi ko, kung hindi na nga ako makakapasok sa PMA, at least mag-ROTC. Aside from the ROTC and the advanced ROTC that I had, I was in the school university newspaper, yung Gaidon, tinatawag.
You were the editor-in-chief?
I was the editor-in-chief of the Gaidon. I love to write eh. I love to write. Hindi yung literary writing, kundi yung news writing. And that's how I really started writing. Kasi nung high school pa talagang mahilig na rin ako sumulat.
After the break.
What attracted you to your wife?
Well, alam mo, she has the two great qualities I've always found attractive in a woman. A pretty face and an intelligent mind. I am never ashamed or worried whenever she's with me in public na meron siyang sasabihin na ikakahiya ko o hindi ko magugustuhan. She just always says the perfect things at the perfect time and in the perfect place.
Very guwapo. Hanggang ngayon.
Founded in 1929, Ateneo's school paper, dubbed as the Gaidon, did not only serve as an organ for journalistic expression of the Blue Eagles. It also recorded Ateneo's history, embedded in its 83 years of press existence.
And in fact, yung Gaidon na yun, nag-pave the way yun for my meeting my future wife. The time when I met her, I was still news editor. I was not yet the editor-in-chief. She happened to be the editor-in-chief of Merinol newspaper, the school newspaper of Merinol. One day, we decided na mag-joint issue kami. And that's when I met her.
We hardly talked the first time. But then later on, he would talk to me, he would ask me out, he would call me, and there was one event that was also very helpful in helping us to know each other better. And that was the College Editors Guild conference, where both of us became delegates. By then, he was already the editor of the Guidon, and I was the editor of the Kiro, and we were head delegates, no, of our respective school papers. And over at Cebu, we attended workshops, we attended conferences, and after conferences, we got to know each other better.
I think a month after that, we had an ROTC officers ball, and I needed a date, so I called her, and that was our first date.
I enjoyed it, and I could see that his peers, his peer group, no, and those who were under him, they respected him a lot. I think he was really very himself, very natural, and he would always impress me as someone who was very disciplined, and very intelligent, and who had very good time management, because he got a lot of things done in so little time. And then maybe at that time I could see that he was a very promising young man. I could see it already.
In an interview with Maria Rosa Nieva Carrion for the coffee table book entitled Elements of Love, Renato Corona was quoted saying,
"I was enthralled because she was the most beautiful girl in the ball. A lot of guys from Ateneo knew her and how they wish it was she they had for their date."
Alam mo, she has the two great qualities I've always found attractive in a woman. A pretty face and an intelligent mind. She's a great person. She's a very, very, very good person. Very kind, very loving, very giving, very generous. Saka malalim mag-isip yan eh. Malalim mag-isip yan. She is a very articulate person. She has I'd say very good breeding. She comes from a very good family.
He could sense that I was very close to my grandmother, so he was asking her to teach him Spanish, and my Lola was so flattered, I guess. Of all those who, I think even the suitors of my sisters, I think he was the only one that my Lola gave a lot of attention and affection to. And even with my chaperones, he was able to relate very well. I saw that he could really relate very well with my whole family. You know, I felt at ease with him.
On September 9, 1968, the young Rene and Tina went steady, and he became his first boyfriend, and she his one and only as well.
Isang araw, lumabas sa, nagde-date kami. Tapos, by that time, I guess, we had feelings for each other already. Kasi, ramdam mo naman di ba? Kung may pag-asa ka o wala di ba? Nagsasayaw kami noon tatandaan ko. I told her, I liked her very much. Hindi naman siya sumagot hindi rin naman niya ako tinulak. And 2 months later, inulit ko. That's the time she said yes.
Hopings ko si CJ
Very guwapo. Hanggang ngayon.
If I remember correctly, I think she wanted to study in Spain. Although plano-plano pa lang naman, wala naman. Pero ako naman, sabi ko, malulungkot ako nito pag lumakad dito. I don't know how I'll do without her. So I proposed na lang. Advice nga ng father ko, bakit hindi ka muna maging lawyer? Hintayin mo muna para sabi ko, sigurado na ako dito So yan, let's see, we got married in 1970. We're going into our 42nd year. No? Of course, I have discovered many, many more things about her than just having a pretty face and an intelligent mind. I am never ashamed or worried whenever she's with me in public na meron siyang sasabihin na ikakahiya ko o hindi ko magugustuhan. She just always says the perfect things at the perfect time and in the perfect place.
They work so well together. I mean, their marriage, first of all, I know that they're, the best of friends. So that's I think very important in a marriage. So they talk about everything. They thresh things out. They discuss everything. So that's the basis, the trust, the communication, and the laughter, the fun that they have together. That's important, I think, in any relationship, in any marriage. So I saw that in my parents. My dad likes to crack jokes, and my mom is always the first to laugh. My dad says he has this joke that he always brings my mom along when he goes out so that someone will laugh at his jokes. He's very sweet to her. He always pays her compliments. Well, in front of us and in front of other people, he does that. So, and I'm sure he does that also when it's just the two of them. I mean, nothing out of the ordinary. We always naman try to act with proper decorum, and that's how we were brought up. So my dad being the Chief Justice, or before that, like Attorney Corona, it's the same. That's just how it is. Everything was pretty much the same naman eh. Daddy is daddy to us. So, of course, whenever we would go out, or, people would approach him, but at home, he's daddy.
As a father, yeah, he was kind of hands-on. He would really spend time with our babies. He would spend time with the children as they grow up. And when we had parent-teachers days, he would find time also to go to those school activities. He was very involved.
Oh yes, he was always there when we were growing up. Of course, for the everyday stuff, it was my mom. My mom was a full-time mom, so she was very active in school. She was PTA president. She, that type who was very active. In the evenings also, he would help us with our homework and stuff. Well, he was very strict when we were younger, especially he was very strict with me and my sister. My brother, not so much. And I think me the most because I was the eldest, sort of like the guinea pig. So, so whatever worked with me, they did with my siblings. And if not naman, they'd kind of tweak it a bit and make it work. So I think that's why they were strictest with me. No boys, no phone calls from boys, no parties. Yeah, first soiree in third year high school. I mean, things like that, like very, very strict with those things. In terms of academics naman, actually, well, I just took it upon myself, I think, to study hard because I knew it would make my parents happy. Actually, napapagalitan din naman ako. Because, let's say, with Telebabad or something, when I was in high school, because there were rules about going out. Like whenever I would go out, I would have, this was before, okay, I think I'm revealing my age, but this was before cell phones. So I had to write down who I was going to be with, where I was going, and like all the details. And then I had to put it on his desk. Meron pa kang deadline I think a week before the event. If not, then hindi na pwede, parang ganon. And then he would give me an answer if I could go or not. And then what else? And then of course there's a curfew. And then what are the other rules? I think the use of the phone, not more than 30 minutes. Wow. And then after 10, no more calls. And then like I said, no phone calls from guys the whole of high school.
Apart from being the head of his family at the young age of 21, Renato Corona also had to attend to his obligations as a law student and as an employee in Malacanang.
I was working in Malacanang. Kapanahonan yun ni President Marcos. So I was working from in the morning, and then 5 o'clock umalis ako sa opisina. Then I would go to school in Pandifaura, and that's where the Ateneo Law School used to be. So klase 5:30 to 8:30. Then pag-uwi ko, kain sandali. Then nung may baby na kami, si Carla, siya pa lang yung baby namin nun, I would play with her for a while. And then, beginning mga 10 o'clock, aral na ako until 2 o'clock in the morning. And all the time, my wife would be there, staying up with me. She would serve me coffee or chocolate or merienda, just so that hindi ako maantukin. And that was every day. Kaya ang ginagawa ko naman noon pag Sunday, kasi ang klase namin Monday to Saturday. Pag Sunday ang klase, wala kaming klase, nag-advance reading na ako for the following week's lesson sa law school. So, pag dating ng the following week, pangalawang pasada ko na yun. Kaya hindi kami lumalabas nun for 4 years. When I entered law school, I had a regular job already. And I was continuing to write speeches also. Parang yun ang sideline ko eh. Sa Harvard, ganun din. Nagtatrabaho ko noon eh. We were allowed to work part-time. So I was able to get part-time work in the university sa Harvard mismo. Tapos on certain hours of the day, umalis ako sa trabaho, nag-attend ako ng klase. To begin with naman, binigyan naman ako ng scholarship ng Harvard. So malaking savings na rin yun. So my mother used to send us money also. And then, of course, I was working part-time, I told you, in the university. Tapos, yung gano'n, more or less. Tsaka may mga savings namin here na binili namin ng dollars na binao namin.
When I was in 4th grade, we all went as a family. That was when my father went to Harvard for his master's. And then again, so that was fun. That was, with a family. So it is a time in our lives that we always look back to with fondness. We usually, when we go to the States, we take a side trip to Boston, to Cambridge, because we have a lot of happy memories there.
Yung mga bookstore doon, gustong-gusto namin pumunta sa bookstore. Yung mga museum, ang daming museum, dinadala namin, lalo na si Mrs. Corona. Parating yan, dinadala yung mga bata sa museum. Ang gaganda ng mga museum namin. I would not have gone to Harvard without my family.
The strong bond that anchors the Corona family stemmed from the sturdy foundations relayed by Renato and Cristina to their children. And this gravitating sense of belonging and spending quality time with the family has trickled down to the grandchildren.
He spends time with them. He spends time. Usually, they have like a date. They'll take him and my mom. They'll take the kids out. They'll bring them to the bookstore, which is one of their
favorite hangouts, and then or the toy store. And usually, well, my rule is that usually I don't buy them toys unless there's a special occasion. I don't want them to get used to just buying things without, without any reason. But so sometimes nakakalusot yung mga grandparents. But for the most part naman, they respect my wishes. But bumabawi sila sa books, because with books I don't because I encourage reading. So whenever the kids ask for books, then they give in. Oh, he's very doting. They love my dad because he spoils them. They love their grandpa. As a matter of fact, my son just wrote an essay recently. I just saw it the other day for his English class. They were asked to write about the hero of their choice, and he wrote about his grandpa. It was actually very, I was very moved by the essay that my son wrote, because he's 10 years old, and for him to be able to write about to be so discerning, it was really very moving. He talked about how his grandpa inspires him, and how he talked about even he knew that something wrong happened, and he's 10. So, he wrote about what a true leader should be, and he just, well, apparently I'm not the only one who was impressed, because he got an A for his essays.
Coming up,
Nung ako naging Chief Justice, parang nag-increase yung pamumulitika sa Korte Suprema.
I think the intrigue started getting intense only when this administration came in.
Unknown to many, former Chief Justice Renato Corona has entered the palace way before the Arroyo administration began. He first stepped foot in Malacanang in 1970, where he served as a technical assistant during the Marcos administration. This was the year where the ex-Chief Justice proved his time management skills, as 1970 was also the period when he pursued a degree in the Ateneo Law School, and at the same time, married his wife, Cristina. After working under the Marcos administration, Renato Corona veered away from government service and entered the private sector by standing as the legal counsel of the Development Bank of the Philippines. From DBP, he moved on to the Commercial Bank of Manila to be its general counsel, as well as the banking institution's senior vice president. Not only is he affiliated with the banking sector, he was also employed by the Sisip Gores Velayo and Company, the largest accounting firm in the Philippines. In SGV, he served as a senior officer of the Tax and Corporate Counseling Group. Fast forward to 1992, Renato Corona made his way back to Malacanang as the Ramos administration took him in as Assistant Secretary for Legal Affairs. In a matter of 2 years, he was promoted to the position of Deputy Executive Secretary, and by 1996, Renato Corona became the Chief Presidential Legal Counsel of then-President Fidel V. Ramos. Before FVR stepped down as president, he attempted to appoint Renato Corona as a Supreme Court Justice. However, then-top magistrate Andres Narvasa denied Ramos the appointment, as it was already the campaign period of 1998. As the term of President Ramos ended, Renato Corona went back as a private practitioner. But shortly after, he was invited back to serve then Vice President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo.
Well, hindi naman ako actually talagang spokesman doon eh. I think nakakatawa nga yung circumstances eh. Kasi yung pangyayari ng mga panahon yun, mabilis eh. Things happen very fast and very quickly. And then they were looking around. Wala tayong spokesman. Siguro ako yung makita, ikaw. ikaw muna yung spokesman. Wala naman akong, well, to be honest with you, wala akong ka-experience in facing media. And, to be really honest with you, I was dying of fright. Really, I was dying of fright the first time I faced the media in the office of the Vice President. Kung nalaman lang ng mga tao doon nag-i-interview sa akin, I was about to collapse out of fright and nervousness. Because that was the first time I ever faced the media.
After the EDSA DOS in 2001, when then-President Gloria Arroyo assumed presidency, she entrusted the presidential advisor post to Renato Corona, who was also her chief of staff. After a year of service in the executive branch, Renato Corona was appointed by Arroyo to be a Supreme Court Justice.
Ano kasi, yung experience ko, in the beginning as an Associate Justice, talagang maraming trabaho. Lalo na, pag yung pinalitan mong justice, maraming iniwang kaso. Marami kasi mga nagre-reklamo dyan. Uy, bakit ang dami-daming mga pending cases dyan, ano? Pero, kung nalalaman lang nila, ang daming trabaho dyan, halos hindi ka na humihinga dyan eh. Sa pagbabasa lang, ang daming trabaho. Well, alam mo, ang karaniwan tingin kasi ng mga tao sa mga Justice Supreme Court, parang mga suplado, di ba? Sila lang, hindi marunong bumate, mabangis. Hindi naman pala gano'n eh. Nung pumasok ako sa Supreme Court noong 2002, I found out na Supreme Court justices are regular guys. No? Hindi naman sila yung may image na suplado, na masungit, na naninigaw, yung gano'n. Hindi naman gano'n. They're actually regular guys, friendly. They also laugh at the same things that people laugh about. Siguro, people just have a wrong impression of Supreme Court justices. Kasi nga naman, di ba, parang majesty of the law, yung gano'n, mga nakapiring yung mata, yung stricto, yung gano'n. Hindi gano'n. That's not the impression I got when I entered. I think mali naman yung sabihin na just because sa Supreme Court justice ka, you're better than everybody else. No? After 10 years, I realized that merong magagaling na mga justice, pero may magagaling din practitioner. At saka meron din magagaling na ordinary lawyers. They may not have the name, they may not have the famous law offices that others have.
After 8 years of toiling as an Associate Justice, Renato Corona was handpicked by Gloria Macapagal Arroyo to be the 23rd Chief Justice of the Philippines.
You know, as Chief Justice, you bear the burden and responsibility of the entire judiciary. Hindi lang Supreme Court ang dinadala mo. Dinadala mo yung 3 appellate courts natin. Court of Appeals, Sandigan Bayan, at saka yung Court of Tax Appeals. And below that, the different RTCs all over the Philippines and all the first level courts. When I became Chief Justice, actually, ang dami pa rin ng trabaho, but not to decide cases anymore. Kasi I think I did not have as many ponentias as I had when I was an Associate Justice. No? But the work became administrative. Imagine lahat ng mga pinipirmahan ko nung papeles sa isang araw as Chief Justice. Walang exaggeration, siguro anywhere from 40 to 60 per day. Wala pa rin yung mga ponensya ng mga ibang justice, napipirmahan ko pa rin. Kailangan basahin ko pa rin yun eh.
Well, ang trabaho kasi ng Chief Justice, ang dami, no? Kulang talaga yung 8 hours doon, ano? So he would spend maybe mga 12 to 15 hours a day sa office. So kasama na doon yung mga meetings, no? Hindi naman siya yung nag-iikot palagi. Hindi naman, no? Hindi naman, but he's always in his office, and if he's not in meetings, his office is always open for anyone to see him.
Very approachable.
Oo, kahit naglalakad dyan sa hallway, ganun. Pwede mo siyang i-approach.
Walang tipo ba si CJ?
Palaging nakangiti yun dito sa Supreme Court.
So when we had...
Yes, stricto rin siya, no? Pero pag trabaho para sa kanya. Pero pagdating naman sa mga concerns, he will always be there to listen. At kung pwede naman, pagbibigyan. Pero you have to work for it. Sa observation ko, no, he was very well liked, no? Kasi he had the personal touch. So talagang kinakausap niya yung mga empleyado, kahit security guard, kahit utility worker, kinakausap niya yun, no? So lalo na yung mga heads of office, no? And makikita mo talaga yung kanyang personal concern sa mga empleyado. Yun, yung kanyang pagiging mapagkumbaba, no? Na kahit na maliliit na tao, kinakausap niya. At pag kinausap niya, mararamdaman mo yung kanyang genuine concern, hindi yung kinausap lang just for the sake of kakausapin, ano? Makikita mo naman yun kung talagang merong concern at kung sincere yung kanyang pakikitungo sa iba.
Up next.
Well, he was during the time, no, in class. He was on the serious kind, but once in a while he makes the class lighter, no? Pero marami kaming natutunan kasi stricto nga siya eh. So talagang he will not hesitate to fail you, no, if you don't deserve to pass. Stricto. Sobrang stricto 'yon in law school, no.
Apart from sitting as Chief Justice, Renato also sat within the four walls of a classroom as an educator.
To begin with, he was my professor in law school. Stricto. Sobrang stricto yon in law school, no? Maraming binabagsak yun. In our class, wala siyang binagsak. Pero dun sa kabilang klase, almost half binagsak niya.
Well, CJ Corona is a type of person who can be very authoritative, even if he appears to be very humble at the same time. So, even if yung sabi ko kanina, we feel that he's very down to earth and at the same time reachable, no? He really earns that respect and trust among everyone.
Well, during the time, no, in class, he was on the serious kind, but once in a while he makes the class lighter, no? Pero marami kaming natutunan kasi stricto nga siya eh. So talagang he will not hesitate to fail you, no, if you don't deserve to pass.
Very yung klase. It's formal, but at the same time, since all of us are lawyers, there are private jokes for lawyers na you really can enjoy the conversation with him. And sometimes you're trying to feel whether he would engage with such kind of conversation or not. But makita mo na bumababa siya dun sa level namin as ordinary lawyers compared sa kanya. And it's very light because in the graduate school, sometimes my class with him is at 8 to 11 every Saturday. So, even when we offer breakfast, ganyan, nakikisama siya sa amin doon. Those little things really makes him someone na very down-to-earth na tao para sa amin. He never came to class nang hindi niya alam ano yung i-discuss niya. you wouldn't see Chief Justice just sitting down and listening to you. He would really engage and interact with you because he knows what you're reporting. He did not assign a single topic that he doesn't know. And sabi ko nga, mas maganda pa doon, he himself was part of the process. No? Hindi lang siya basta-bastang kinukwento niya based on research. He was telling from experience on how they fought for that or how they tried so hard na ma-implement siya because of the numerous extrajudicial killings in the country and other problems.
Professor Corona's projects did not stop by the gates of the university. As Chief Justice, he also made sure to implement undertakings that would benefit the judiciary and the people under its jurisdiction as well.
He continued projects of his predecessor, which is a very difficult thing to do for most of us. I would include myself, siguro, lahat tayo. It's very difficult because when we're new in something, we want the credit. But for Chief Justice, he continued it despite the fact that, as I've said, when I was quoting him, I was quoting some other Chief Justice's project. But I think the bigger contribution that he gave is that he continued the good projects.
Tulad nung Enhanced Justice on Wheels, no? Yung Enhanced Justice on Wheels, ito yung umiikot kami sa iba't ibang lugar sa Pilipinas, iba't ibang lalawigan, sa iba't ibang syudad, no? Dala-dala namin yung bus ng Supreme Court, no? Yung Justice on Wheels. So, and we conduct hearings. Parang pinapakita na imbis na yung tao ang pupunta doon sa korte, yung korte ang pupunta doon sa tao, no? At dahil doon sa Justice on Wheels na yun, marami kaming napalayang mga inmates, no? Yung mga overstaying inmates. Yun, tinuloy ni Chief Justice Corona yon kasi nakita niya na napakagandang programa eh. Well, sa employee, syempre, ang unang hinihingi ng benefits, di ba? So, siya naman, pagka pwede, bigay. Basta merong pwedeng ibibigay. Lalo na kung halimbawa, coming from a calamity, no? Katulad ng undoy, yung mga ganon, yung mga baha, yan. Siyang tinatawagan niya kaagad to conduct mga relief operations. Tapos, basta para sa yung mga maipakita sa tao na talagang yung kanyang concern. Madaling makita yon.
Though the life of the former magistrate may seem so fine-flowing and perfect, the Corona family says that just like normal families, they had to face times of testing.
That was in 1995. Yes, he was working for President Ramos then in Malacanang, and he was in the executive office, head of legal. You know, he was able to solve the perennial backlog, you know, in the legal department. That is like the Supreme Court of the administrative cases. And some of these backlog cases dated back to maybe 20 years ago, 20 years before then. And I guess that was a lot of stress, for him. And when he was told that he would have an angiogram, and then from the angiogram, I think he was already told, don't go home anymore. You need a bypass operation right now. But he was able to bargain for just at least one day, that he can at least tell his boss, he can tell President Ramos that he needed a bypass operation. And we really just couldn't do anything about it. No, I mean, we just had to follow the doctor's orders, and we were there for I think 10 days in the hospital, and it was difficult seeing him go through that surgery. Oh, of course, I was there right outside the operating room, and there was another wife, and we were both praying, and really scared, because we don't know how the outcome would be. So we were very, very scared and prayed so hard. But he did very well, you know. He's really a survivor. No matter what. No amount of stress, problem, nothing will, down him, depress him or put him down. Nothing can put him down.
Back in the 90s, the Corona family thought that health problems may be the biggest challenge they have to face. But come 2010, the Coronas are in for the biggest trial of their lives.
Finally, the Chief Justice will appear before this very impeachment tribunal.
Ginang Ombudsman, kayo po ba ay pinapatulog pa ng konsyensya ninyo kung meron po kayo nun? Alam mo namang wala akong 10 to 12 million US dollar deposits at wala akong 82 bank accounts. Bakit mo naman pinapangandakan sa publiko ang kasinungalingang ito? I am likewise authorizing the Clerk of Court of the Supreme Court and Bank with permission from the Supreme Court and Bank to immediately release to the public my SALN for the years 2002 to 2011.
Chief Justice, as respondent in this case, had been on the witness stand and testified for more than 3 hours.
Wait a minute, he's not been discharged.
No, here I'm not discharging him. I'm making a manifestation. Huh? I wanted to assure the court that there is no such plan, Your Honor. In fact, after having started with his testimony, Your Honor, I was about to make a manifestation. He would like to assure the court that there is no intention to violate nor to degrade the authority of this court.
Nagpapakumbaba ng hingi ng patawad sa ito.
That Renato C. Corona be, and is hereby convicted of the charge against him in Article Roman numeral 2 of the Articles of Impeachment, so ordered.
More of former Chief Justice Renato Corona's life story tomorrow.
Nung ako naging Chief Justice, parang nag-increase yung pamumulitika sa Korte Suprema.
I think the intrigue started getting intense. Only when this administration came in. Honestly, before that, I didn't feel any kind of intrigue.
Actually, I really don't understand why. I really don't understand why those people hate us so much.
Previously on Philippine Biography.
Alam mo, she has the two great qualities I've always found attractive in a woman. A pretty face and an intelligent mind. So, nalaman lang ng mga tao nung nag-i-interview sa akin, I was about to collapse out of fright and nervousness. Because that was the first time I ever faced the media.
To begin with, he was my professor in law school. Stricto. Sobrang stricto yun in law school, no?
Everything was pretty much the same naman eh. You know, daddy is daddy to us. So, of course, whenever we would go out or, you know, like, people would approach him, but at home, he's daddy.
The Corona family lived a relatively peaceful life. But when Renato Corona was proclaimed by then-President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, their troubles began.
Unfortunately, alam mo naman ang nangyari, nung ako naging Chief Justice, parang nag-increase yung pamumulitika sa Korte Suprema. I never got used to it. I never got used to politics kasi kaya naman ako pumasok sa judiciary kasi nga ayaw ko ng politika, no?
I think the intrigue started getting intense only when this administration came in. Honestly, before that, I didn't feel any kind of intrigue. I thought he was doing very well. He was serving the government, and he was always busy. He was always trying to get a lot of things done. And when he was appointed Chief Justice, that was the time when there was intrigue because it was at a turning point because there was going to be a new president. When he would be a Chief Justice, and the new president wanted, of course, to appoint his own Chief Justice.
Hindi, nadidinig-dinig ko na. Mapailan daw ako impeachment. Kasi nung umpisa pa lang yun eh. I assumed as Chief Justice May 17, 2010, no? Doon pa lang nadidinig-dinig ko na yun. Impeachment. Walang tigil yung impeachment na didinig ko. So, after 2 years of that, nasanay na rin ako eh. Kaya wala na rin eh. Parang daily fare na sa akin yung impeachment na yun. Natatanda ko yung unang reaction ko. Sabi ko, bakit? Ano bang ginawa ko?
The Supreme Court, under Corona's rule, allegedly supported the widely unpopular Arroyo administration. President Benigno Aquino III does not deny his disapproval of the Arroyo-appointed magistrate. President Aquino opted not to comply to the conventional practice of taking oath before the chief magistrate, but instead took oath before another justice. But reports say that the primary trigger of the impeachment trial against Corona is when the SC allowed former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo to travel abroad, despite a watch list order issued against her by the Department of Justice. And so, it unfolds. On the fateful day of January 16, 2012, the first ever impeachment trial of a Philippine Chief Justice unfolded before the nation.
Ano ba ang kasalanan ko sa bayan? Wala akong pagkakasalang alam ko.
188 signatures from the House of Representatives, 8 articles of impeachment, 45 alleged properties. "44 trial days against the Philippines' 23rd top magistrate."
Paano naman kasi hindi naman sarili ko lang ang pinaglalaban ko eh. Pinaglalaban ko yung hudikatura eh. Kung magre-resign ako, unang-una, ano ba yung ginawa kong kasalanan? Wala naman akong alam na kasalanang, napakalaking kasalanang ginawa ko. Pangalawa, sabi ko, kung magre-resign ako rito, paano na ito? All future presidents will have learned the lesson from this. Pag hindi natin nakuha ang gusto natin sa Korte Suprema, tatakutin lang natin pala na i-impeach natin yung Chief Justice, susunod na yan sa atin. Sabi ko, umpisa na ito ng destruction ng judiciary at saka yung co-equal system ng gobyerno natin, yung checks and balances, kung bibigay ako. And yun ang pinaglaban ko yung judicial independence, yung rule of law. Hindi mo pwedeng gawin itong ganito. Pare-pareho tayong pantay-pantay tayo rito eh. Yung Congress, yung executive, yung judiciary, pantay-pantay tayo rito. Huwag tayo magsiraan. Walang kwenta yung judiciary na hindi independent eh. Kasi kung yung hudikatura ng isang gobyerno ay hindi independent, you better close shop. At maging ano na lang kayo, legal department kayo ng Malacanang o maging legal department kayo ng Kongreso.
In going to a battle, the warrior must be equipped with weapons. And in this legal combat, Chief Justice Renato Corona armed himself with high-caliber top guns.
Unang-una talagang hinanap ko, yung naniniwala siya doon sa pinaglalaban ko. Kailangan matalino, magaling, may track record, may quote-unquote, may sinabi.
So there was no intention to intimidate. The preparation was to really attack every article and destroy every article. And we knew we could do that. Based on our experience in court, we know we could do that. Very simple lang naman eh. Pag may charge ka, pupunta ka doon sa mga elemento o mga rekado, tinatawag natin, or requisites, nung sinasabi nilang violation ng tao. So handa kaming harapin yun. Inisa-isa namin yun. Iba-iba ang lugar na pinagbibitigan namin. Minsan, we are in a restaurant, sabay na rin sa pagkain namin. Minsan rin ay sabay sa opisina ng ilan sa aming mga abogado. Kasi siyempre lahat naman kami may mga opisina. So maaaring umiikot-ikot yon sa mga opisina ng mga abogadong kasama doon. Meron din na may times rin na merong nagpapahiram ng opisina para sa amin na kung saan doon kami nagmi-meeting. But of course, meron talaga kaming tinatawag natin na office on record because doon padadala lahat ng notisya ng Senado eh. Meron yon. At yun, alam ko yan yung opisina ng isa kong kasama na si Attorney Judd Roy na doon talaga bumabaksak lahat ng notice sa amin. Mapagbiro si Justice Cuevas, minsan yan, bibiruin ka. Minsan sasabihin, ano ba yung mga pinagsasabi nyo? Minsan ba sasabihin niya, parang kalokohan yan sinasabi niya. Ganun, mapagbiro yun. And I think, pero sa mga panahong seryoso siya talaga. Ang maganda ron, nagdi-deliberate kami, inaalaw rin niya kami mag-raise ng mga points. Noong una, medyo siyempre naninimbang kami. Kasi siyempre, justice yan retired justice eh. Tapos, siyempre, yung punto ko ba, would it matter for him with his experience also? Pero as we move along, maganda yung pagpapalitan namin ng ideas. At the same time, doon na-develop yung tiwala sa isa't isa.
Yung nagpapasalamat ako sa kanila kasi lahat yan, pro bono no? Wala namang actually naninil sa akin dyan no? But I think I could not have assembled a better defense team than the team that I had.
Up next,
the politics was there and nakita naman ninyo lahat From the very beginning it was politics from beginning to end. There was nothing that was not political about it from beginning to end.
I cried. Actually, we discussed it. We discussed it. But I was, of course, against it. I was afraid of the treatment that they would give him, of what he would have to go through.
As the trial days dragged on, various issues were uprooted. Properties, dollar accounts, unpaid taxes, and the list goes on. These topics created headlines for over 44 days. But despite the mudslinging and character assassinations, the Corona family managed to stay strong and push through.
I think they were talking about these charges in the impeachment court, no? We were able to, the defense team was able to answer everything, and then when they rested their case, there was no evidence. No, they had nothing to show for their charges. And then right after they rested their case, came all this other propaganda, about houses in the United States and properties here, properties there, and by the way, the first salvo was the 45 properties, correct? And even that, I heard it first from a friend. He said, because we were having daily masses in the Supreme Court, and after mass she said, Tina, you have 45 properties? And then I said, 45? Where is all of that? I couldn't imagine having 45 properties. I said, I wish. And then I said, gosh, some of these I can't even recognize because they're even owned by other people, not us. And then and that's one thing I said, wow, how they can invent. Gosh.
Everything, the lies that were being hurled, the hatred that pushed for those lies. It was just one thing after another. Every day we would wake up and I would think, okay, what's the next headline? And actually, it was difficult because I knew they weren't true. I knew the truth. I knew that my father wasn't anything like the way they were portraying him. And actually, it came to a point when I couldn't even recognize the person they were trying to project anymore, because he's so different. The real Chief Justice Corona is so different from the person they were trying to project to the public.
I knew very, very well that it was really a propaganda machinery that was at work. And I was even hearing comments, or I think these are reliable news reports, and I think it's true, that a lot of money was poured into this kind of propaganda. So I said, there's really no way we can fight that. I mean, just by that alone, you can already say, oh, goodbye, I don't care about what you say, So I guess that's how I survived it, because why bother? Why? And then my friends and many people whose opinions I value would also tell me, they're just telling lies, And do they know your husband? Do they know Rene? How he was brought up by his parents? How he has conducted himself in his public life? Even in the private, in his private practice and other private corporations that he managed. Do they know anything about him? None. But
apart from allegations of hidden bank accounts and properties, the family feud of the Basas, family of Cristina Corona, was also dragged into the spotlight. However, during one trial day, the unexpected happened. The decades-long struggles of the family was suddenly replaced with forgiveness and peace.
I grew up not knowing them because I guess of the fight, or the not getting along. I never knew them growing up. So when that happened, I was very happy for my mom. My mom, I guess since they grew up together, I could see the happiness in my mom's face. Those were her cousins. I mean, blood, blood is blood, So I could see that she was very happy to have reconciled with her cousins. that's another miracle. Yeah, like I said, there were so many miracles that happened during the impeachment, and there's really no way to describe it, because I think we all know that they were brought here for a different reason. But look at what happened, diba? I mean, only God could have done that.
But more than exposés and family reunions, what really glued the nation to the impeachment trial was when the accused, against all odds, appeared in his own trial to testify.
Wala po akong ninakaw sa gobyerno kahit na isang pera. Wala po akong tinago. Sapagkat kung ako'y may tinago, hindi ko po ilalagay sa pangalan ko ang kwarta kong ito. Ladies and gentlemen of the prosecution, ito lang po ang tanong ko sa inyo. Kung talagang malakas yung inyong kaso na isinampa sa akin, bakit kayo kailangan mag-imbento ng ebidensya? Sagutin po ninyo yan sa taong bayan.
Well, that was his personal decision, to go through it and to appear before the Senate, no. On hindsight, wala naman siya talagang ibang pwedeng gawin kung hindi harapin lahat ng mga akusasyon laban sa kanya.
Yung usual na narinig na parang, kung ikaw yung lawyer niya, pwedeng sabihin mo, Chief, wag ka nang pumunta. But I think, on a personal level, he also wants to show na talagang wala siyang itinatago. He wants to explain his side because at the end of the day, the voting would be based on political beliefs, alliances, or even legal for those na bumoto na they feel na that is what is right. But for the Chief Justice, I think he thought na it's better na whatever the result is, I was able to address it directly. The people were able to hear it directly from him.
I cried. Actually, we discussed it. We discussed it. But I was, of course, against it. I was afraid of the treatment that they would give him, of what he would have to go through. But we felt that it was the only way for him to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Anything else would have been edited or distorted, or so that was his chance to correct everything that was said, that was written, and we didn't really have a choice. So I felt helpless, and so that's why I broke down.
Well, siguro wala namang ibang choice naman talaga kundi ako naman talagang makakapag-testify doon, Kasi sino pa bang ibang makakapag-testify yung mga bagay na ako lang naman na nakakaalam. The politics was there, and nakita naman ninyo lahat From the very beginning, it was politics from beginning to end. There was nothing that was not political about it from beginning to end.
Coming up.
Kaya lang, nung tumayo nga siya, nagtaka ako, nakaupo ako. Medyo na-bother ako na nagsalita na si Senator. Sabi niya, ipapasara mga pinto ito. Nakita ko yung galit na niya. Sabi ko, ano ba nangyari? So, tumayo na ako. Hinahanap ko kung saan doon si Chief Justice. Tapos sabi ko, nakita ko na siya nakaupo sa monoblock. Kami naman, talaga nagtaka rin kami. Sabi namin, bakit nga? Tapos ako mas nag-worry, hindi dahil sa, alam ko kasi, as a lawyer, sabi ko, baka naman kung napalabas lang yan at the back of my head. O lumabas, may dahilan. Lagi ko naisip may dahilan. Kaya lang nakita ko na, sabi ko, wala ito. Ito na pauugungin kasi pag nakita ko na yung kabilang gallery, walk out. Yun na nakita ko. Sabi ko, ito na yun. Ito na yung storya bukas sa dyaryo.
And now, the Chief Justice of the Republic of the Philippines wishes to be excused.
Chief Justice, as respondent in this case, had been on the witness stand and testified for more than 3 hours.
Wait a minute.
He's not been discharged. No, here I'm not discharging him. I'm making a manifestation.
I ordered all the doors closed.
The media is now on the chase, searching for every corner of the Senate's basement area.
Marami sa akin pumupo na sapagkat pinabayaan ko na magsalita ng napakahaba. Huwag naman kaming babastusin.
Kaya lang, nung tumayo nga siya, nagtaka ako, nakaupo ako. Medyo na-bother ako nung nagsalita na si Senate President. Sabi niya, ipapasara mga pinto ito. Natakita ko yung galit na niya. Sabi ko, ano ba nangyari? So, tumayo na ako. Kami naman, talaga nagtaka rin kami. Sabi namin, bakit nga? Tapos ako mas nag-worry, hindi dahil sa, alam ko kasi, as a lawyer, sabi ko, baka naman kung napalabas lang yan, at the back of my head. O lumabas, may dahilan. Lagi ko naisip may dahilan. Kaya lang nakita ko na, sabi ko, wala ito. Ito na pauugungin. Kasi pag nakita ko na yung kabilang gallery, walk out. Yan na nakita ko. Sabi ko, ito na yun. Ito na yung storya bukas sa dyaryo. Hinahanap ko kung saan doon si Chief Justice. Tapos sabi ko, nakita ko na siya nakaupo sa monoblock. Nung inabutan ko siya kasi nilalak na ng security ng Senado eh. Sabi ko sa kanya, pinapasok ako dahil kilala ko. Sabi ko, ano po ba nangyari, CJ? Sabi niya, nagdidilim na kasi yung ano ko eh. Yung paningin ko tapos naduduwal na ako. Ayoko naman ito mangyari sa harap ng publiko. Sabi niya, meron pa nga akong 2 pahina niyan. Hindi ko na natapos. Tinalunan ko na lang yun. Worried sila for him eh. Kasi sabi, naku, yung diabetes niyan, bumabaksak na yung ano niyan. Baka nadidisorient na yan. Naku, baka mababalik pa ba? Nakakatakot naman eh. Ayun, takot na sila eh. Siyempre, isipin mo, padre de pamilya. 5 buwan na walang patid, araw-araw na nasa dyaryo ka. Hindi naman siguro doon sa araw-araw na ginawa na ng Diyos na yun. Siguro, 95% negatibo laban sa'yo. Siguro, ma-worry ka na kung ikaw ang pamilya na biglang merong medical alert, di ba? May medical concern. Baka, ang worry mo siguro siya, baka atakin sa puso yan. Baka ma-stroke yan. O baka bumaksak ang sugar niyan. Di ba? Ayun naman haka-haka ko lang, no? Pero di ba, ikaw, kung concerned ka sa ama mo, concerned ka, let's say, may asawa ka, yun kagad ang iisipin mo. Yung ibang bagay, sasantabi mo nga di ba? Basta lang wag na madagdagan ng stress pa niya. Up to this time and up to this very moment, hindi siya nag-walk out. Yun ang sabi niya. Yan ang talagang sinabi niya sa akin. But of course, hindi lang ng tao maniniwala to. Kasi they will have their own explanation eh. They will have their own story kung ano yung interpretasyon nila sa nangyari. Well, concerned kami. In fact, I had to tell him nung nasa clinic siya kay Chief Justice because ako yung nagsabi sa kanya na he has to return eh. Kasi sabi ni Justice Cuevas, Tangkil, kausapin mo. Kasi ako nga yun nandun sa clinic eh, na kailangan bumalik, baka mapasama tayo. Sabi ko sa kanya, sinabi ko, CJ, baka ka makontempt, tas pati kami makukontempt din. Sabi ko, tapos agaran naman niya, kahit na nga nangihina siya, agaran, sabi niya, sige, balik mo ako. Gano'n na yun. Sige, ibalik mo ako. Kaya kung makikita mo, di ba, nakaupo na siya sa wheelchair, tapos yung yung kanyang kurbata, nakalaylay na, no? Yun. Sinabi niya, sige, balik mo. Hindi naman ko dinesisyonan yun eh. Sinabi ko, ibabalik ka ba namin? Sabi, sige, balik mo ako. Yun. Kasi siguro inisip niya hindi lamang yung sarili niya, kundi mga abogado niya. The following day, nag-meeting na kami doon. Sa medical city na kami nagmi-meeting noon. So, wala. There's really nothing. It's just an exchange. Nasa kama nga siya, mini-meeting namin eh. Ano lang ako is, if there's one thing na nakita ko dito sa proseso na to, ang daming balita. Alam mo yan, daming balita. Nagugulat nga kami. Kami spokesperson eh. Para may mga balita, hindi sa amin nanggagaling eh.
And on the historic day of May 29, 2012, the Senate Impeachment Court decided the fate of the 23rd Chief Justice of the Philippines.
We knew what the verdict was even before the trial started on the last day. We were told already of how the votes would go. We knew that there were negotiations being done. We knew about we knew what was going on behind the scenes. And it was painful because my dad went there and debunked all the lies. He explained everything point by point. His defense team did the same thing. And yet they chose to accept, the documents, the illegally obtained documents from little ladies and anonymous creatures, and it was just very, very painful to see that weighed more heavily than the truth. I mean, they kept telling him to explain for 5 months. They kept saying, explain, explain, come here, take the witness stand. First, the defense team laid it out, explained everything, presented all the facts. And then, of course, the culmination was a testimony of my dad, which explained, I mean, anyone who listened to what he said would know that, this is the truth, and all that they've hurled for the past 5 months were already explained and debunked. So, and yet they convicted him. So it didn't make sense. It really didn't make sense at all.
I was hoping against hope na hoping against hope na syempre hangga't hindi nilalabas ang verdict, meron pa. Of course, ang daming kwento na may ganitong boto, na may ganyan, may mga nagbibilang. Ako kasi hindi ako nagbibilang I don't count. I would just rely on the merits of the case. Kaya lang, hindi mo maiwasan lang lumalapit na may mga maririnig ka na. Actually, na-interview pa ako bago yung verdict ng 2:00, di ba? Na-interview, alam mo naman, bago magsimula, in-interview kami ng halos lahat ng yan Pero medyo hindi na ako mapalagay noon. Bakit? Ang gaganda ng mga damit nilang barong Tsaka parang nagpa-parlor sila Sabi ko, siyempre, human nature Human nature. Siguro alam nila. Bakit ayos na ayos sila? Ayos na ayos sila Ako sabi ko, hindi ko alam. Pero may isa pa nga biniro, ganda naman ng barong mo. Sabi ko, alam mo, biro lang. Pero, siyempre, tao lamang. Gusto mo na manalo. Kami gusto namin manalo. Gusto namin na makita yung outcome ng pinaghirapan namin. Pero siyempre, natural lang, hindi mo rin maalis sa amin bilang tao na, ba't business sila?
Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty. To convict. Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
To convict.
Guilty. Dahil sa po ay nagkasala. Guilty. 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 Ang guilty ng impeachment is a political process, not a political assassination. I cannot imagine removing a Chief Justice on account of a stand-in. I vote to acquit.
If your client cannot explain, I cannot abstain. If you did not disclose, we have to depose. And if you are not fit, you cannot sit. Guilty.
I am insulted by the way your minds run. Why would a suspected criminal leave his calling cards at the scene of the crime? Kung noon pa, gusto pala niyang itago ang kayamanan niya, bakit niya ilagay sa pangalan niya? Would you be very surprised if I say that I vote not guilty?
The Lady Justice wears a blindfold for a reason. She is to render judgment based on law and evidence without regard to the circumstances and personalities of the parties involved, however controversial they may be. She is to dispense justice without fear or favor. I vote to acquit.
The reason why the trial simmered in the Senate is because the articles were served half-cooked instead of well done. Guilty.
The culmination of this national drama is at hand.
And the time has come for me to render judgment on the person before whom I took my oath of office as a senator of this republic. I vote to hold the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Renato C. Corona, guilty as charged under Article Roman.
I'll be honest with you, nagdasal din naman ako kay Lord na ako'y bigyan ng acquittal, no? Pero hindi niya ako pinagbigyan doon. Humanly speaking, sino bang matutuwa nun na natalo ka doon, ano? Ha? Pero kung meron akong kaunting ray of hope, or hindi ray of hope, parang sinag o liwanag na nakikita doon sa nangyari. Alam ko, a number of senator judges had two speeches with them. Isang pang-guilty at isang pang-acquittal. Alam ko yun eh. Kasi yung mga staff nila ang nagkikwento sa amin. Kasi napakaliit lang naman ng legal profession eh. Yung mga staff ko at saka yung mga staff sa Supreme Court. Marami din namang kaibigan doon sa mga staff ng mga senator judges. Ang kuswelo siguro doon eh, siguro, hindi naman 20 sa kanila nag-iisip na guilty ako. Kundi siguro, gusto na lang, sumama na lang siguro doon sa nakakarami. Sa akin, ganun lang yan eh, politika. Walang personalan ha. Trabaho lang eh.
May iba na hindi matanggap yun, hindi masaya. In fact, meron rin na usapan na baka dapat i-appeal pa. Pero kasi ako personal, that's the end of the line. Well, we've submitted to the process. And we fought hard. And the people knew that. Alam nila yun. Pero sa isang sistemang katulad ng natapos na yun, kailangan galangin mo yun. It's very important that you have to respect the process. Because otherwise, wala na tayo. Huwag na tayo. Ba't pa tayo nagawa na impeachment na yan? It's only once in a lifetime that you could stand for something that you believe in a cause that you believe in. It might be unpopular. But even if a cause is unpopular, it doesn't mean that it's not worth fighting for as long as you believe that it's right.
I was praying for a miracle. So many miracles had happened throughout the trial. During the trial, one of the miracles is the outpouring of support and very outwardly, because people started support groups online. People would text us and attend masses and actually they would be the ones to coordinate the masses, and then we would just attend. So all of these things were miracles in themselves. And the biggest miracle that I was praying for was, of course, an acquittal. But it didn't happen. I was praying that in spite of knowing how they would vote, in spite of knowing that, I was praying to the Lord to enlighten them and to guide them and to let them follow their conscience. They kept talking about this Rabe versus Flores case. They kept using it as basis for their conviction. But if you actually study the case, you will know that it's not appropriate. Delsa Flores was a court employee who was removed from her job because of double compensation, not because of the salary. So it was because of the double compensation. So I'm sure they knew that, and yet so many of them used it as basis for their conviction. So it was really very, very curious for me. He and my mom have always had a very strong relationship with God. Very their faith is very strong, and I think that's what's kept them and us, because I found my strength in them. So he would tell us to just trust in God's plan, and that, you know, this happened for a reason, and only God knows that reason. So whenever I feel angry or hurt all over again, I hold on to those words, because it's true. It's just hard to accept. I remember a comment, and I will never forget this for the rest of my life. One of them said, "Ngayon lang kami na nagmahal ng Chief Justice, kinuha pa sa amin." So, I could feel the genuine sadness, the genuine affection they have for my dad. So, I guess seeing those things, and maybe that's God's way of telling me that things are all right.
After the break,
I have to admit that I'm still healing. I'm still going through the process.
the Corona impeachment trial came to a close a long time ago. And former Chief Justice Renato Corona says new doors have been opened and it's time to start a new chapter.
I have to admit that I'm still healing. I'm still going through the process. It was a very grueling, painful 5-6 months for us going through that trial. So much hatred was so evident, and actually I really don't understand why. I really don't understand why those people hate us so much. Throughout the whole trial, that was what he kept telling us, that we just need to keep trusting the Lord. This is all, even as soon as we were born, He had a plan for each of us. So God knew this would happen, and yet He's letting it happen for a reason. What that reason is, we don't know. We can only attribute it to His strong faith in God.
I'm still young, 63, there's still a lot of things that I can do. Ngayon, ang ginagawa ko, I'm starting to write my memoirs. Habang fresh pa sa mind ko yung mga naalala ko. Tsaka inaayos ko yung mga papeles ko kasi siyempre magagamit ko pa rin yun sa aking memoirs.
Until now, when he goes out, people go to him, they wanna shake his hand, they wanna assure him that they never believed the lies. And these are people we don't know. I mean, strangers just approach him, and sometimes even us, and tell us that they're praying for us. We've received text messages and letters from people we don't know, and assuring us of their unwavering support. When my dad went back to the Supreme Court to pack up his things after he was discharged from the hospital, for a few weeks he couldn't get started packing because of the endless stream of visitors. The employees wanted to see him, wanted to to tell him how sad they were, how they couldn't believe that about what happened. He gets to spend more time with the grandkids because when he was Chief Justice, he was very, very busy. I mean, you can just imagine he had his responsibilities as a justice, you know, like the decisions, the things that he had to write. And on top of that, the administrative stuff, the ministerial. He had, you know, speeches to give, things to attend, and inaugurations and conventions and all that. So while he was Chief Justice, he was very busy, and we had to work around his schedule. So we still tried to see each other at least once a week. Usually on Sundays, we would go to Mass and then go out after. So now we have more time with him. So actually, while he was Chief Justice, you can say that we had to share my dad with the entire judiciary because he was their father too. So now we have him back, and we're happy about it. We've always been prayerful. We were brought up that way, but this trial made us even more prayerful. Since we don't live together anymore, usually we pray on our own, except for Sunday Mass. And you know, that's when we pray together normally. But during the trial, we made it a point to pray together, pray the rosary together, and sometimes we would even pray the rosary with my sister in the States through Skype. So yeah, I think it brought us closer to God.
Siguro ang lesson sa akin yung wag malilimutan tumawag sa Diyos. Kung merong ibang plano si Lord para sa akin, yun ang gusto kong gampanan ngayon. I'm not here to get angry at them. Basta sa akin, tapos na yan Tapos na yung yugtong ng buhay ko. Ayoko nang lumingon doon. I'm moving forward and moving forward with my family. I'm sure there is life after the Supreme Court.
The Corona impeachment trial was dubbed as the country's political afternoon soap opera. The deposed Chief Justice might be the villain or the protagonist, depending on the inclination of a viewer. But there is more to the Renato Corona than just being a controversial political personality.
As a teacher, as I've said, he's a very good teacher. He knows how to handle his class well, and he makes sure that he really knows what he's talking about. As a person, sabi ko, contrary to perception or yung initial na impression namin, he's very down to earth and approachable. As a lawyer, I think his credentials speaks for itself of how accomplished he is. So, para sa akin, the impeachment only changed one thing. He's no longer the Chief Justice. Other than that, he is the same person I got to know last 2011. Diba? So, I have the same respect, and he might not be the one sitting right now in that position, but I well believe that he earned sitting in that position. So, long after he left that position, I think he would still get, and he still deserves, all the respect and courtesy that was previously given to him.
Very easy to deal with. Hindi nakikinig sa abogado. May tiwala sa abogado niya. At sa tingin ko, pinotektahan rin niya mga abogado niya. Sa akin, sa experience ko, he tried to pursue, and posture judicial independence. Meaning, ito sinabi ng hudikatura, medyo kahit masakit, respetuhin natin.
Siguro, ang isang pinaka magandang trait niya, yung kanyang pagiging very sincere. Na in spite of the high position that he has reached. He has remained approachable. He has remained a true person. Kahit ang taas na niya, kaya pa rin niya makipag-usap na kahit kanino. Siguro more than anything, I would consider him as a real person. No? Someone whose position did not go into his head. Someone who has remained approachable. Someone who has remained a true friend.
I think he's too forgiving to a fault. Yeah. Sometimes, of course, he knows what should be done. I mean, like he's older, he's more experienced, but sometimes, like all these things have made us, angry, but he's too forgiving and too kind. But what I learned from my dad and what I respect him, I really respect him for, is that he's not afraid to walk his talk. He stood his ground. He fought for his principles. And I think the whole world saw that. And I couldn't be prouder to be his daughter. He is a true statesman, a true Christian, a true father in every sense of the word, to us, his children, and to the judiciary that he really loved and served to the best of his ability.
Well, I would like to be remembered as the Chief Justice who sacrificed everything, literally everything, for the sake of judicial independence and for the rule of law.
Renato Corona might be a figure misunderstood and misjudged by many, but no person can deny that he too gave this nation a lesson to be learned.
Today's episode only proves that anyone can create a difference with patience, perseverance, and hard work. I'm Kat Domingo. Join us again next time as we uncover more inspiring stories only here on Philippine Biography.